Hi, today I will show you the next steps of creating my Anet A6 Prusified MK2. I am medic 3D and I do a lot of 3D printing related stuff. This time I continue to upgrade my Anet A6. I am doing it mostly for fun. In this episode I will assemble the frame and Y-axis. Now I managed to make the frame as square as possible. It took me quite a while and now I will show you how I have done it. First of all, I've used my DIY bench vise. Took the frame, put it upside down inside, secure it in place. Then I use the square edge to check if the profiles are on the same height. But because there is a frame, I've added some nuts. I will use them as a spacer. Put them on the profiles. And now I can check if the straight line is touching all the nuts. Now you can see that the straight edge is touching nuts in every location. The same is true for the second pair of profiles. Okay, so the straight edge is touching every point. You don't need to look here because the frame is in the vise and it's a little bit crooked. But what's the most important thing, that all the profiles are straight in line. After securing all the profiles, I marked every profile with a letter, and at first every letter was facing upwards, in this case downwards, and I've checked if the profiles are straight, and they weren't, so I've rotated the profile and checked it again and checked it again, and it took me like half an hour to get it straight. Now it's really nice, and for me it's good enough. My frame is flat. Now I can proceed to check other things. First, let's check the Y-axis. For testing purposes, I will just screw these smooth rod holders to the frame, just temporarily, using the screws. And then I can check if the smooth rods are of the right size. Probably not. I will have to cut them to the size, but let's just check to be sure. I can probably use the dimensions from the Prusa manual, but I just want to be 100% sure that what I'm doing is okay, because it's better to measure twice and cut once, not the other way around. This is smooth rod for my Anet A6 Prusified, and it is a little bit too long, so I would have to cut it to the size. I will just mark it here, just to be sure. Okay, here it will be easier for me. So this is the correct size. And what I can see right away, that I forget to cut the notch here and here, so the bearing will probably catch the frame. And what's more, I need to buy more of these U-bolts to hold the bearings to the heat bed base, but also maybe it will be possible to use this one. I need to check it, because this is the same dimension, so it should be okay. But after cutting the smooth rods to the size, I can then check if there is enough clearance to do so. So for now I'm not sure if I will go with the U-bolts or use existing mounting system from Anet. This will need to wait until I cut the smooth road. Okay. The x-axis is exactly the same as with Prusa, so I will need to cut the x-axis smooth roads and reassemble my X carriage. That should be pretty straightforward. I don't need to measure it. But for z-axis, I will probably need to check it also. Okay, so for the z-axis, I will use the top 3D printed part and bottom 3D printed part, Z-motor. Also, I will need the threaded rod to check the dimension, because here I am using original Anet A6 stepper motor with clutch. I will probably need to cut to size the threaded rod also. And this is original smooth rod for the z-axis. And as you can see, it's a little bit too tall. I will cut it also. Probably this is the same dimension as in original Prusa, but I can just verify it, and as I said earlier, measure twice, cut once. Better be safe than sorry. So the same stuff with the 3D printed parts as for the y-axis, just temporarily screw it to the frame and check how it works. Now I can attach the Z-motor. The holder for the Z-motor is attached, so now I can use the Anet A6 Z-motor. Also attach it temporarily using just one screw, should be enough. Okay, so the upper part and the lower part and the Z-motor are attached. Now I can just eyeball more or less the Z-axis and mark the dimension. Should be around here. And then I will verify this dimension with the original Prusa. This should be exactly the same. So I need to cut those to the size. And for the threaded rod, there is no correct dimensions because in original Prusa the rod is connected to the Z-motor. So there is no length given in the manual. So let me just put it into the Z-motor clutch. In order to make better marking for the threaded rod, I will use masking tape so that okay, so this should go inside like so. Okay, so this should be the correct height for the threaded rod. So there is a little bit of cutting left to do. I need to cut all the smooth roads, the threaded roads, also cut the notch here and here. And then I should be ready to move on. Now it's time to use my angle grinder. Now I am smoothing the edges of the rods on my bench grinder. I decided to paint the frame. First I wipe everything with acetone and then I put paper pieces to all the holes to prevent paint from getting inside. For painting I use simplest method, which is spray can paint. I went with the silver color, but it looks kinda grey. After the paint dried, it is time to remove the paper pieces. And finally to assemble the painted frame. After painting and assembling the frame again, it appears that the frame is not square. So in order to mitigate that, I've added some paper shim to this side and also under this rail, and this helped a little. What is left is to make a little bit bigger shim for this rail, and then it should be really flat, and this is what I'm gonna to do now. Now I will use those nuts as spacers on all four corners of the frame and check if it's flat on this melanin board, which I know is flat. The frame seems to be as flat as possible, so it's time to start assembling y-axis. I am doing it more or less like in Prusa assembly manual. Now I am assembling the y-axis belt. time to check how the heatbed carriage works. Unfortunately, the bearings holders are too big and are catching the frame, so I found another bushing holder on Thingiverse and printed 4 of them with PETG. Everything seems to be ready to mount the Y-axis. Let's start with cleaning the bearings and rods with IPA and applying new grease. The heatbed carriage is mounted and slides smoothly. But the next issue is the Y-belt holder. It is too short and I need to find another solution. As usual, Thingiverse came to the rescue. I found this model and made it a little bit taller and everything lines up nicely. And another problem occurred. Newly printed belt holder just scratches the frame, so I have to file it down a little bit. When everything runs nicely, it is time to set the Y-axis motor pulley so the belt tracks straight. That's enough for today. It took me much too much time, but hopefully the next steps will be easier. I hope that in the next video of this series the printer will be ready to start printing. Be sure to check my other videos, they are right here waiting for you. And remember that the next giveaway is at 250 subscribers on YouTube, so be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have any question, the comment section is open. Thanks for all the likes, it really motivates me. See you next time.